241. Oh my God, 241. All right, for those of you joining me for the very first time, this is me just responding to various questions and comments again on various different videos. I never censor my comments, and I always encourage people to jump in on the conversation because it's usually pretty fantastical, and you guys narrate the conversation with your questions, whether we agree, disagree, or agree to disagree, and yeah. First off, I'm just going to make a little mention of something about that Uzbekistan lady, nanny or whatever, that cut off the baby's head in Moscow the other day, pranced around saying how much she hates democracy and Allah Akbar. Apparently they said she wasn't acting alone, so this gives it's when I say, and again, I know I have Muslim viewers and stuff like that, and I can imagine they would understand more than anybody that, yes, when I say not all Muslims are violent, sure, I mean that, but it seems like the contrast is just completely one flip to the other. And I understand why. I mean, a lot of these countries are hellholes that they come from, that all they know is violence, and I get that. But it puts us in a position where, again, how much more tolerance is people going to be? Even, I was listening to, on RT, there was I forget the name of the lady, but anyway, she's a reporter in the Netherlands, and the guy was, again, a Muslim guy, and he was arguing, saying, look, in the UK, or in the Netherlands, or I forget where he was, but he was saying, yeah, I think he was in the UK, saying, look, only 0.2% of the terrorist attacks, terrorist charges in the UK are Muslim, and he's correct. He was correct. But there's a difference between being charged with terrorism for a flaming pig head going into a mosque, which, okay, is bad. I don't really condone that. And, you know, again, people getting beat up and stuff like that. Yeah, they'll classify that as terrorism. But nobody dies. Whereas that 2% that gets charged on the other side of the fence is really radical. And this is what people are starting to realize, that, you know, we keep hearing Islam as a religion of peace, and maybe it was at one point, who knows. But this is the concern that I have, and actually this is more of a take warning for Muslims than it is for, because you have to understand, people's patience on stuff like that is going to wear thin. And especially in Moscow. Now, again, Putin being, I know there's a lot of Putin champions out there, but this is what I'm talking about. This was an illegal immigrant, again, undercutting the labor. This is what happens when, again, you get what you pay for. If you go with the, well, I'm going to save a few bucks on a cheap nanny. Again, I don't know, maybe the family she was nannying for was Muslim too. I don't know, but, you know, you get the idea. That we're importing a lot of problems without vetting them. And the backfire from this will go exactly to what I've been saying. And trust me, when I saw Merkel get out of her motorcade yesterday, I'm like, I was waiting to hear the shot. Again, I'm not making any threats. I'm like, I've never seen a politician that heckled in my life. All these thousands of Germans out there yelling, Merkel must go, right to her face. No politician is ever, even Donald Trump doesn't get that. You know what I mean? He gets like 3-4 people shows up at his rally. That's it. Can you imagine that? Just think of that how dry that kindling is right now. It's one little spark and bang, it's gone. So people, be mindful of the dangerous times we live in. And yes, what I was saying, between 3 and 5 years, it will be extremely dangerous for Muslims. Again, one bad apple spoils a whole bunch. Even if 99% of them are good, it's that small, really radicalized. I mean, when you're cutting babies' heads off, you know, and I get it. If we weren't in their countries, they wouldn't be in ours in the first place, in that sense. So yes, I know where the blame starts. It starts with the Zionists and U.S. foreign policy on behalf of Israel and stuff like that. I mean, I call it out, and again, I'm not against every Israeli. I know not all Jews are, there's not a Jew around every corner trying to take you out, that type of thing. I know that. But radical begets radical, and we notice that a few bad apples can spoil a whole bunch. So yes, 3 to 5 years, there's only so many more terrorist attacks like this that will be tolerated. In Russia, they don't really tolerate much to begin with, at best at times. So, yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up just because it's such a big thing, you know. And, you know, when this happens in the middle of London, and it will, I mean, a month before the Lee Rigby beheading, I didn't call Lee Rigby himself because I didn't know who it was going to happen to. I said, with this many jihadists, I was watching the Muslim riots and stuff like that, and listening to what they were saying and stuff like that. I was like, okay, it's just a matter of time. I mean, getting back to that RT thing, I mean, the whole debate was, again, another Muslim imam talking about how people should be stoned to death and hung and killed, and Sharia is good, and all the violent stuff and death to the infidel, they should be killed and stuff like. There's no way to take it out of context. When saying, yeah, but you're not understanding Islam, he's just narrating what's out of the Quran. But that's even worse, because that makes the case against it again, saying that, well, if that's the way they're interpreting it, it's not a religion of peace. So again, political correctness is only going to be it's dying a very fast death, and with that comes in the extreme tip of the spear of the ultranationalists and the neo-Nazis. They will be coming in, and I mean those in literal terms, not you're engaged in immigration, so you're a Nazi. No. I'm talking about people who have Nazi ideology, who identify as Nazi. They will be given such leeway. It will bounce into a civil war. But take this same scenario. What happened in Moscow happened in the middle of London, London Street. Again, a month before Lee Rigby, I called it. What they're going to do at some point is behead a bunch of children in public in the middle of a street somewhere. They burn children. ISIS burns children alive in cages. They do it. It's propaganda. Nobody would ever do something that used just to make They do it. Even if it's staged, they do it. People will die. And the backlash from that could kick off the 10th Crusade. It could kick off the 10th Crusade. And I am predicting England, most likely in one of the areas around London, for this to kick off. I don't know when it's going to happen, but this lady is going to inspire others. Keep that in mind. All right, so anyway, Baltic Dry Index. Years ago, shipping rates were high as commodities such as copper, coal, iron were in high demand. Many players decided to bring on many ships to gain profit. This caused a glut of ship vessels, and rates start falling. As China reduces its demand, many of those companies were stuck with ships and no freight to haul. The rates kept following, and there they are. Part in reduced demand, and part is glut of ships. The Baltic Dry Index is an indicator of world demand for goods. Dry ships was $100 share, and rail were running goods to the ports. Today, dries are selling for 10 cents a share, but the economy is good, right? Yeah, exactly. Right now, I don't know what it costs to rent a Ferrari, but you can rent a Ferrari or a ship, not necessarily fuel the ship and take the ship out of harbor, but you could rent the ship for cheaper than what it costs to rent a Ferrari. What's a Ferrari to rent? What, $2,500? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But the economy's fine. What are you talking about? Go back to sleep, little sheepy. Go back to sleep. I think you're right that there will be bloodshed in North America because Americans have guns. Canadians are cowardly, pretty much leave in multiculturalism so bad where they are lib or a con. It's all the same. Canadians are so afraid to stand up for what this is really all about. No, you have to understand, we just have fewer propaganda machines than you. For example, we have the CBC. There's not a lot of, media coverage on regular Canadians. But you'd have to, obviously you've never visited Canada, because as soon as you get outside of like the multicultural cities, you'll realize what Canada really is. And trust me, fit in or fuck off. That said, if you're commenting from the States, I don't know about you, but your fierce leader isn't doing you any favors. At least we control our borders to a degree. Okay, yeah, we got mass immigration too, but we at least kind of control our borders a bit. So no, we're all in the same boat. So this idea, well, you guys are cowards, yeah, but that's kind of calling the pot black at that point. No, we're all in the same thing. We got the same fight. It's just the narrative on the TV is that everybody is like a Justin Trudeau when they're clearly not. I mean, that's why this is one thing you don't see with CBC is man on the street. And when you do, it's so selectively biased that because it's hard for them to find man on the street that will go along with all this stuff. But that said, no, Canadians are in the same spot as everybody else. But the thing is that can be swayed quite. We had 10 years of actually, I would call sensibility. in a lot of areas. Like the Immigration Act under the Conservatives, which, yes, they were socialist fascist if you go by their policies, not by their what they say they are. Same with the Liberals. They're socialist fascists to the left, left-leaning, and the other ones are socialist fascists, slightly right-leaning on other issues. But the Immigration Act under Jason Kenney was actually probably the best immigration act in the world. The only things I would change on him is get rid of anchor babies, and cut down the numbers of 250,000 per year. That's too many people to bring in when we can't afford to bring them in. Now it's going to go up to 500,000 people per year. It's too much. So yes, the Conservatives were bringing people in to undercut labor, and stuff like that. But they did it all temporary foreign workers. Now they were going to get rid of all the temporary foreign workers, so at least they could get rid of them. They did deport over 6,000 people. How many Americans have been deported? How many illegals have been deported out of the States? Again, no, we were an act to follow. It needed to go a little bit further. And again, I'm not the type that's completely anti-immigration. I'm more tap on, tap on. If we need people, bring them in, but vet them. Even with the Liberal government we have now, at least they're vetting the refugees enough that they're not just letting in fighting-age men, in the mass numbers. And trust me, I'm not happy about what they're doing. I got a little bit of a on the down low last night of what a refugee settlement one guy and his family got was like something like $3,800, and that's just a start. That's the loan that they're going to pay back while they're on welfare. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Plus, there will be job displacement, like you've seen in Walt Disney, where there was a guy, I think it was on AMTV I was watching, talking about how he had to train his foreign replacement worker. Like, recipe for disaster, big time. And the other thing I'd say about that too is that, again, I'm not 100% against immigration. It's just it has to be sensible. I don't really care where people come from, but I don't want the nanny who's cutting people's heads off, particularly babies. But I don't want Sharia law in my country. Period. If that makes me racist and bigot, I'll embrace that because, I don't want that. I know what Sharia law countries look like. They're not a place I would like to live. Maybe it works for them. Maybe they like it, and that's fine. But no. We can't give concessions to that and stuff like that. And we're doing it because a handful of globalists and globalism. We have to be against globalism. We have to revisit NAFTA. It fucked Canada over. Canada, with the resources we have, we should have number one, the most honest dollar in the world, the most powerfulest dollar in the world, and be the most powerful country, non-nuclear country, by choice, of course. I mean, we could be nuclear tomorrow if we wanted. Uranium refinement is no problem for us. I mean, we sell our uranium to other people, which I have issue with that too. But yeah, the thing is we're all in the fight now, and this is where it starts. It starts with activism and stuff like that. But the idea that Canadians are cowards and stuff like that, no, that's bullshit. Yeah. Thanks for the comment. But go fuck yourself, eh? No, but seriously, you can't call us, cowards. I mean, you got to look at what you're doing too. You're in Canada's in worse, better shape than the States. We're just heading where you are. That's the only difference. And so I'm picking on my American viewers, but the ones like that, and again, keep commenting. That's fine. It's just when I do hear that, it's like I find it funny when you're saying stuff like that and then not self-reflecting on the situation you're in. You're in way worse situation. Yes, Canada is about to have its economy destroyed, but it's going to be easier for us to rebuild than you guys. It's going to be easier for us to rebuild than Greece or Spain. It's going to be easier for us to build than Sweden, although we're heading in the direction of Sweden. It's going to be short-lived. At best, Trudeau will be a one-term prime minister. As soon as the going really gets tough, people are going to question policies. And he didn't really win by that much. Yes, they won a majority, but they didn't win by that much. You have to understand the conservatives did a few things really stupid. And I'm really, and I'm not saying this because I'm a huge fan of Harper or like that. I have to unfortunately say he was the best prime minister we've had in a long time. Not because he was that good. It's just he wasn't as bad as the other ones in a lot of ways. I mean, conservative scandals, Mike Duffy. And that really had nothing to do with Harper at all, hardly at all. It's just the accusations from the CBC who got their funding cut, which is now being restored by, that's why they're so pro Justin Trudeau, or they hand him with, baby gloves, that type of thing. But even with that, I mean, I think this progressivism is because again, the liberals are bringing out stuff now they didn't even talk about during the, and almost every promise they have to go back on, or like, okay, $10 billion a year is now going to be like $19 billion a year on just that, plus the billions of dollars of other things. Oh no, this program is only going to cost this for this part of the program. They don't tell you the whole thing, right? And it's people are going to say, oh, that's why we had a conservative government for 12 years or 10 years, because 12 years of liberal lies starts on day one. It starts on day one of the campaign, So, yeah, Justin Trudeau came off as knowing what he was talking about. But, the retirees, them people, I'd say the sway vote was a student vote and people who smoke marijuana. That's what the sway vote was. The Conservatives could have had another sway vote if they would have actually said, yes, we are going to get rid of Bill C-68. They wanted to slowly do that, but they let gun owners down. And because of the High River gun grab, because of that, they lost a huge sway vote demographic. Gun owners, probably a lot of them, that would normally have voted Liberal, but knowing that the gun rights were being challenged, probably were, and a lot of Liberals did vote for the Conservative government based on the gun issue. Trust me, it's still a huge thing. Right now, the Quebec government is being challenged on the gun registry, and I've already signed a petition against it, stuff like that. No, Canadians fight back. It's just we're polite till we don't have to be. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But anyway, thanks for the comment. Love the view on Israel, Notregme. It's so true. What I mean is the last time you heard the CBC, CTV, Global, Sun Media talk about this from the perspective of Israel is fronting these retards. Oh yeah, they're all Sun News. I do like Sun News. I really do like Brian Lilly. I think he's a fantastic reporter. I don't know where he stands on the Israeli issue because I don't know if he's Jewish or not. But I did meet him and stuff like that. But I know on the gun stuff, he is pro-liberty. Ezra, of course, he's going to be pro-Israel and stuff like that. Michael Cohen, again, really good. Faith Goldie, I like her as well. But yeah, they're pro-Israel. They're either Christian or they're Jewish there, or they're like half and half kind of thing. But they're the pro-Israel ones. So you have to take that bias. But it doesn't mean everything else they talk about is bad. That said, is yes, I wish they would name, but again, how can Israel Levant come out against Israel, right? Like, I mean, they already brand him as a self-hating Jew, believe it or not, because he's not pro-Israel enough, So is he just controlled opposition? I don't know, but the thing is that I do know when you listen to Brian Lilly, everything is facts. Here's the document. Here's what it said. Go have a look for yourself. Here's the new policy, and it's really, really good journalism that he does. I like, hats off to him. I shook his hand when I talked to him, and there was one thing I told him to say in one of his next gun rant video. I said, I forget what was going on. It was something to do with the RCMP wanting to have another police chief, classifying firearms. Right now, the RCMP, once again, will be making law in Canada. A lot of my fellow Canadians say, no, the RCMP can't make law. You're right, they're not supposed to be, but they somehow are, or really forcing the hand. However it works, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it's not in the hands of the people. That's the problem. So anyway, one thing I told them is you can't legislate crazy and criminals in occupation. Use that, drill that. The sooner people get that, the better. And he used it, and it was like, oh, that's awesome. And yeah. Because, again, he's not afraid to speak the truth, but I'm sure he has limitations, too. Again, I know he's kind of more anti-Muslim and pro-Israel. I can overlook some of that to a degree. It's just when you get to the point where you can't challenge it. For example, some people, and I didn't know about the actual number on this, but people who challenge the idea of the Holocaust can get thrown in jail for that. That to me tells you everything you need to know. Why if we really believe in freedom of speech, we really believe in democracy and all this good stuff, there should be no such thing as people in jail for stuff like that. How could we bash North Korea and then put people in jail for that? And again, I myself, and the jury's still out on that one for me. I think something happened. I don't think it's exactly as they said. Again, there probably weren't even 6 million Jews in Germany for that to happen anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. But I'm not necessarily a Holocaust denier because I don't know. I say propaganda, history's written by the winners, so there's going to be a lot of things. We're never going to know the exact truth. Maybe it's all true, maybe it's not. Maybe there's that gray in the middle that I usually like to look at. But you get the idea. There's too many of dictators out there in the world. We have Justina Trudeau and Obama with his deformed ears. We have Cameron. We have Mr. Hollandaise sauce there in France. We have uber sexy dog faced gremlin in North Korea. Those symbols of sexiness. LOL. Yeah. Anyway, next one goes. Question to the Muslim apologists. Where are the thousands of Muslims over the world talking about taking to the streets and protesting against their extreme buddies, slaughtering whites on the others and other infidels? Rhetoric, no need to answer. Well, again, this tolerance thing I think is running thin. Myself, I'm a fair man. I'm tough, but I'm fair. I'll call it as I see it. I don't think we're going to see a Muslim... we're going to see a few people in front of the PR cameras, but we're not going to see a huge Muslim solidarity march in Moscow. And then maybe if you're a Muslim there, maybe you might want to do this. I don't know if it'll help your case, but at least it shows you're trying. About this lady cutting off the baby's head. You know, again, she is what it doesn't speak for Islam. You're missing the point. It's not about whether it speaks for Islam or not. It's another terrorist attack done by a Muslim. You know what I mean? That's the way they're looking at it. Again, I can see both sides. I understand why they hate us so much. All they know is violence from their countries. I mean, Iraq, Syria, they're completely destroyed. You have to consider Iraq and Afghanistan have the guys fighting now. These guys grew up during Desert Storm. You know, most of these guys, okay, have never known peace. They've never known that. So of course, anywhere they go, they're going to tear it apart. They're going to be like gremlins for sure. So I completely understand that. But the same thing is even if I understand, it doesn't mean I necessarily want it here. So I'd rather focus on, yes, let's put these Zionist bastards in jail. One charge. Hello, brave law enforcement and military, if you're out there, or secret agent, or whatever the hell you are. If you're listening to this transmission, I mean, this is the Northern Beacon telling you, put these damn bastards in jail. They are not too big to jail. Never mind going after the little guy. Never mind having to tap the phones for the FBI to tap the phones of all regular citizens. If you're going to tap phones of anybody, tap the world elites. Find out what they're doing, how they're doing it, who their connections are. Round them all up. Yes, it will create a power vacuum, and it's going to be an ongoing thing throughout the rest of humanity. There's always going to be bad people. There's going to be good people. But if you let the bad people keep getting away with it, it makes the world a much worse place and more dangerous. So there's no reason for you not to. And the first cop that slaps the cuffs on Henry Kissinger, George Soros, or Brzezinski is going to go down in the history books as a hero. You're probably going to get killed. You're probably going to have your family destroyed. But the message is bigger than the man, and it's about doing the right thing. You put these people in jail. Crimes against humanity, one charge. Arrest them on terrorism, global terrorism by invading countries illegally. The Obama administration, the Bush administrations, the Clinton administrations. Go back as far as you can. Start with the current, move your way back, and everybody in there. And then when we charge them, or we find them guilty, you can charge them, and then send them back to country of crime for sentencing. For example, send Zebra Brzezinski to Afghanistan for destroying that country and the millions that died in a false war because of him. Send George Soros to eastern Ukraine. Send Hillary Clinton to Libya. Send Obama to, pick one. We'll say Syria for now. Send Kissinger to Vietnam. Give these people something. Think of it like a peace offering. And then from there, close down your borders. Till the world kind of stabilizes a bit. Deport everybody you have to. Anybody that's going along and doing good, not doing anything wrong, leave them alone. Tensions will die down. Stop the wars. Tell Israel, sorry, you can defend your borders all you want, but you defend them. We're not fighting any more wars for you. They'll calm down too. Don't vote for anybody. I mean, right now it's hard to say don't vote for anybody Jewish because they're too much of a liability. Even if they're on the side of good, they're tainted. It's a trust issue right now. So we need to rebuild. You can't vote for anybody pro-Muslim or pro-Israel because they're tainted. Doesn't mean you can't take their thoughts into perspective, but they're tainted to the point where, like Bernie Sanders, you can't vote Bernie Sanders. Yeah, he's talking good talk, but he's extremely tainted. Donald Trump is about the best you're going to get. What other option do you have? And then after Donald Trump, start looking for somebody better. And if you can't find somebody better, maybe you're at step up to the plate. If there was somebody better like Rand Paul would have been a good option. But again, too much of a conformist to Israel. Ron Paul would have been the best option for the Americans, but they missed that bus. He's too old now. He's not going to run again. And if he does, they'll probably knock him off anyway because he's so old. Nobody would know the difference. So those are things to keep in mind. But you get what I'm saying anyway. Trudeau's a goof. He is a pussy. If he got into some kind of a shooting sport, I'm sure he would enjoy it. Actually, that's the hypocrisy of it. The guy owns restricteds. He shoots, he boxes, he does all that manly stuff. But it's about the votes, right? So yeah, he got restricted firearms. Just say, I have no problem registering my restricted firearms, non-restricted firearms. Same with Couillard there here in Quebec. Oh yeah, well I have no problem. What's the big deal about registration? Registration equals confiscation. Confiscation. That's the only thing they've ever used it for. Only thing. That's the only thing they've ever used a long gun registry for, was confiscation. Why would any country want to disarm their citizens, to fucking control them? The civilians can't fight back when the Nazi liberals try to fuck everyone. Like I said, he's a goof. Yeah. But I think people are going to come to that realization. Now, you have to understand, the progressives, like, they're going to vote for him no matter what. And you have to figure that in there. The women, they probably voted for him because, he looks new, fresh, dreamy hair, whatever, and he's a progressive. So, I don't know which way Canada is going to go, but I know in 4 years it's not going to be Canada anymore. We'll be lucky if we're not in, the beginnings of a civil war somewhere in the country. Dare I mention where. But yeah, we could see an East-West divide in this country because of him. Look, they're already revolting against the NDP out West, big time. That's what, but again, that's, you vote for, you vote for, okay, yeah, Ralph Klein fucked up a bit, sure, yeah, like he said some things that he shouldn't have. But protest votes have their cost. You can't blame, protest votes have their cost. Alison Redford was a bad choice. So Rachel Notley would definitely not be better when the rhetoric was the same, even more radical with Notley. Yeah, so, and Christy Clark, yeah. How did that referendum go when the people spoke in BC telling, no, we don't want the HST, harmonized sales tax, or the GST, or whatever it is? I mean, they still haven't complied to the people. This is going to have it's going to have consequences. Again, this is what these idiots in government don't realize, that they're not above the law. They're not above the people. The people will rule at the end of the day. Thing is, as long as people stay united against the stupidity, you know what I mean? Problem I fear is that they use divide and conquer throughout Canada, East versus West. Next thing you know, Saskatchewan and Alberta secede. They'll be hit pretty hard because the globalists will definitely take them off the global markets. But over here in the East, it could, Ontario would tear itself apart, and Quebec would tear itself apart, and the Maritimes would suffer greatly. Because right now there's no reason for any province in Canada to be a have-not province. What the problem is we're bringing in too many people too fast to let wages go up. It's like every time I hear the argument, no, immigration doesn't drive down wages. And this is where capitalism does have its problem. It's always how to undercut the other guy and compete. No, quality of life should be the first thing. It doesn't mean you have to be a flaming socialist. Socialism can be used as a tool, and was supposed to be used as a tool to get you on your feet, and then once you're on your feet, take it away. And if we get back to that kind of concept, yeah, we can rebuild the country. Every part of this country should be prosperous. Every part of this country should be prosperous. A lot of it is mentality, but a lot of it it's government in the way. Too much regulation, too much this, too much that. And in areas where they need regulation, they don't regulate enough. So it's that's got to be fixed. I'm a military brat, and I live in a military town. We were raised around the military our entire lives. Don't believe the bullshit you hear about America being weak in any form or fashion. This is the most powerful nation in the world for a reason. You are talking about foreign forces invading us. Are you really that ignorant? No, but the thing is they're already there. Again, they're already there. What do you think mass immigration is? It's how you get an invading army in. Doesn't matter what the army is, right? You need to move out of America and go live over there with them, since you have so much faith in them, you traitor. No, we all own guns. We will fight till the death before we'll let any force come here and do anything to our families. But they already are. People like you are sick. You're the poison within our society. You talk as if you want to see only home we've known destroyed or invaded by some foreign nations. I guess you haven't been paying attention to this channel too long then. Then you need to run all of you traitors out of America. Well, number one, I'm in Canada. But again, we have the same problem. And this idea, no, that's the whole thing. I'm not saying the soldiers aren't good. What I'm saying is the other soldiers on the other side are equal. the Russian soldiers are every bit as good as the American soldiers. I know there's this tribalism of we're the greatest, and yeah, you kind of need that if you're going to go fighting. But if it comes to a fight, I don't know who wins. Right now, to invade Europe, to take on Russia, no, there's no way you're going to do it. Russian military is every bit as capable as the U.S. military. In some areas, they might be slightly behind. But in the areas where you are ahead, they're targeting those areas to destroy, such as satellites. If it goes back to an almost analog-type war, say like 1970s direct radar line of sight type of thing, it's anybody's game at that point. And trust me, even when the heads of NATO, the heads of all the U.S. Generals are saying in Eastern Europe, we can't take the Russians. There's no way we could take them there. That tells you one thing. And with South America being the way it is, that's a staging ground for the Russians and the Chinese. In other words, they could bring the front to your doorstep as well. The fact that they would be coming over Canada air power-wise, that's the whole reason why NORAD exists, is because Russian air power will be coming directly over Canada. They could also invade slowly through Canada to set up bases, stuff like that. Yes, we would fight them here too. But again, this idea that you can fight with no losses, this is the part that I don't think a lot of people get. That, would they invade? Well, they wouldn't invade on day one. It'd be a slaughterfest. That's the whole reason why the U.S. isn't in China right now. You'd never make it off the landing craft. So they have to take out China a different way. This is why it goes nuclear, because these militaries, China and Russia, are too powerful to just run into their countries and take them over. They're not Iraq and Afghanistan. Again, Iraq and Afghanistan, we didn't beat them there. We didn't beat those guys there. Those cave dwellers with the rusted out AKs are still there. You know what I mean? So if we can't beat them, how the hell do we take on the Russian Federation and the Chinese People's Army? Not without incredible losses. This is the part I keep trying to say. So yes, I'm not doubting the legitimacy of the soldier, but what I'm saying is most of you aren't going to make it back. And if the tide gets swayed one way, winner will take all. So if with the Chinese and the Russians ganging up on the Americans, even with NATO's not big enough, it's definitely not well funded enough, it's definitely not powerful enough to take on the Russians and the Chinese and the Iranians, and yes, the Cubans will switch sides, there's no doubt about that, and Mexico, and Venezuela, and you have to understand, the entire South America, whether the people want to or not, their governments are dictators, communists, and cartels. They're going to sway to the Russian side and the Chinese side, guaranteed. Why? Just hatred of America. So, no, this idea of, right now the Russians are taking down the United States with the Chinese economically. That's where the war is right now. But at some point, once economic war, you go trade war, currency war, trade war, shooting war. So right now we're somewhere getting into trade war. So we're in the phase 2, then the shooting war comes. But this idea that it's not so much that the stuff that the Americans have isn't good and the training isn't good. I don't doubt that. And people say, well, we put this much into our military. Yeah, but not everybody pays the crazy, insane amount of inflation into their military. The Russians don't, what you guys would build an $80 million jet, they'll build a $16 million jet, just as capable, or very close. I mean, to tell me a MiG-29 can't keep up to an F-22 with a good pilot, I think it's more about the pilot than the, maybe a 1970s or 1980s MiG-29, not upgraded, sure will be at a handicap, but the new MiG-29s are every bit as good as anything the F-22 can throw at it. If anything, they're more maneuverable. The F-16C and the MiG-29, the better pilot's going to win. The better pilot's going to win. So the wins and losses, again, like World War II, this idea it's going to be a 2-week war, and no, it's not going to happen like that. I mean, I'm just trying to keep the reality real. We should be trying to do everything to keep out of war. If you're one of those idiots that want to go to war with the Russians, you're a fucking lunatic. The amount of citizenry that will die for that kind of arrogance is just lunacy. So I know most people aren't for this. They're not for this global war that they're trying to breed up. But again, if we don't wrangle, this is where, if you really are true brave law enforcement and military, you need to go after the world elites and arrest them and uphold rule of law before everything just goes to shit and social chaos. Because if we don't, I mean, it's our families that will pay. It's our sons and daughters that will have to go fight. Look, the United States is now in the midst of deciding whether to draft women or not. Think about that. That is a step. Why? Because not enough men are signing up for the military anymore. Why? Because they know the wars are lies, they're scams, forcing us into a fight. And that's what they want to do. They want to slingshot us into a fight with the Russians and the Chinese, so that we don't have time to react to the government. And if you listen to guys like Henry Kissinger, just look what he says about U.S. soldiers. You just go see, and then are you really willing to fight for that fucker? You know what I mean? Because and the Israelis, again, Samson option, New Israel, Greater Israel Project. Look those things up. You'll understand what these wars are about. Russia is of no threat to us if we keep them at bay by simply not, provoking them. This idea that we're surrounding them with missile systems. Of course, they're acting the way they are. That's the way the Russians act. But they're not stupid enough to be the ones to fire the first shot. But once those shots are fired, this idea that we're going to go over there and kick the Russians' ass in 5 minutes, it's not going to happen like that. Red Dawn style invasion of the United States? No, not right away. But if it goes to all the high tech stuff is gone after the first 2 weeks, guaranteed. No more satellites, no more because it'll all be taken out. At that point, it's almost like World War II again. And then if it gets to an analog war, and this is what Russia and China are looking at, if it gets to an analog war, then you're dealing with some severe manpower, well armed as well. So at that point, we don't know who would win. And if the Chinese win, that's bad for us because they will just kill us all. If the Russians win, learn to speak Russian, but they'll still kill most of the males. There's no doubt about that. So the thing is do you really want to test to see, who's really going to be the king of the castle? I think the castle just gets destroyed in this idea. And there's nothing traitor about calling out people being idiots. You're an idiot if you want to go to war with Russia or China. It's a suicide mission. It's not cowardice to speak that. It's watch how these guys train. The Russians and the Chinese train every bit as good as the Americans. Different type of training, sure, but every bit as good. And the thing is if you take that as traitor, then you're just fucking stupid. You're literally a fucking brain dead idiot. I don't mean to trash on my viewers today, but it's I gotta keep it real, that type of thing. And I do appreciate the comments. We're having a disagreement. The idea that it's traitorous to not go to war with Russia and China, I find that just kind of, how can you think that way? Do you not realize what kind of war we're talking about? We're not talking about some little cave-dwelling desert people that can't really do anything other than yell Allah Akbar and let Allah guide the bullets. Yes, they're dangerous enough. I'm talking about a fully mobilized military, state of the art. Big difference, big difference. But anyway, thanks for the comment. I disagree with you. The problems are in every country and not designated to one group. Man is bent towards self-destruction. We've always will be. Look with your own family and how infighting exists, as usually it takes a backseat when common enemy is focused on. When that is gone back at each other's throats. Or when that has gone back at each other's throats one way or another. All the reasoning will not change man's heart. I agree talking to your family that is in a police state and military and have them thinking about these things. If you take the kingpin out, others will fill the place. Yeah, there's always going to be a power vacuum. Always have and always will be until a new beginning. A new earth until then, nothing will change. No, but we can manage it. Think of it more like management. We always know there's going to be criminals. We always know there's going to be, again, another Henry Kissinger another David Rockefeller, another, Rothschild family. There's always going to be that. Today is goof day. But on the other hand, too, does it mean we do nothing? No. I mean, think about, and again, this is where I have issue, like, for example, with Iraq. Yes, we killed 1.5 million people there. Not so much Canada, but the United States. But we were in Afghanistan and we killed people there too. And the thing is that those people died based upon a lie. And the people that lied now openly are still walking free. That's what I have issue with. And the idea that we're doing it for the dumbest reasons ever. Will we ever learn? But we won't learn if we don't make examples of these world elites. And I think that day is coming. I think if we look back in history, we do know that, globally, it is a lot stabler now than it was, say, 400 years or 500, 600, 700 years ago. It was a lot more war. The problem now is we're in the nuclear age. That's my issue. Like, if we were like in World War II, pre-atomic age, and war were to break out, okay, well, that's bad enough. People die, but you don't destroy the entire planet in the process. So that's the way I look at it. So yeah, we got to put these people in jail. No, there's no excuses. And yes, when we pull that mob boss out, the next one comes in. We'll get him too. We'll get him too. But anyway, thanks for the comment. What is frightening about these rape remarks is that they confess an understanding of rape while ignoring the fact that it is done in every culture by a man close to the victim, not some outsider. Here in the U.S., women who die violently usually perish at the hands of their own partners. Answer for that? Thanks. No, you're right. You're right. But the issue on Cologne, you're referring to Cologne, Germany, I'm sure, on New Year's Eve, is that, yes, there's no good men out there that condone that condone rape. I mean, pedophilia and stuff like that, trust me, there's a reason why you don't have pedophiles in small towns. They get run out. When they're found out, they get run out. They get beat up. They get, that type of thing. And people will do that as soon as they find out, oh, this guy's in my community. They post his picture or whatever, or her picture, or whoever, on the wall saying, you have this guy in your community. It's to the point where a lot of times they won't notify the community that a dangerous offender, sex offender, is let loose in their community because they don't want vigilante justice. But then if that person does something, then the Justice Department is at fault for it. But like anything, accountability seems to be kind of, well, it was the department. Yeah, but can you give me some names of people who made the decision not to do that? It was the department. You know what I mean? So how do you hold people accountable, right? But accountability is the thing. But yes, you are correct. Most statistically and anywhere in the world is going to be, again, most women murdered in Canada are murdered by their significant others. But it's not the same problem that we're talking about. When we have these feminists on the college campuses talking about rape culture, and then when it shows up in Germany, and that is true rape culture, it's a culture thing that people are really catching on, not even so much the incident of the women being attacked, but that this is the ideology that we'll be taking into the future as we let more of these people come in and basically overrun us. Again, Sharia law, So every time you see these leftist girls, and most of them are not old enough to vote, so they wouldn't have voted for this, but they're brainwashed. They're already in their school. They're still in school being brainwashed, or college, being told how utopianistic the world is. And again, a puppy knows not the dangers of a tiger. It's only, you'll probably find most girls turn feminist between the ages of, say, 13, 14, up to, say, 22. Then after that, most of them, when they get out in the real world, they realize, okay, well, most men aren't bad, no problem. And so that it's going to be harder. We're talking 40, 50 years of indoctrination, right? So it's going to be hard to overthrow that. But the thing is that it's also at the point where you can't hide it. You can't be politically correct about it. So those girls holding up refugees welcome and stuff like that. And if you look at the Antifa counter protests to Pegida and stuff like that, it's almost all made up of women. But those are all college women that are still in their indoctrination. It's only after college where you start to see women and some are in college starting to question now that, whoa, this is, it's not racist and bigot to question cultures that clash. This is the whole thing. And this is what you're seeing exactly in Germany. Again, if you saw the motorcade, it's just that just put a chill down my spine. How can that woman even, she's going to be, what do they have on Merkel? Remember, a couple of years ago, she was saying, oh, multiculturalism has failed and stuff like that. And then now she's like, no, we need to bring in 9 million more refugees. Why do you need to bring them in? Why? Just why? Nobody's ever made the case for multiculturalism. Oh, it enriches us. Exactly how? Nobody ever makes that thing. So does it mean I hate everybody? No. Does it mean I want to stuff people in ovens? No. Does it mean I don't like the idea of any immigration whatsoever? No. What it means is, when in Rome, do as the Romans, preserve the culture you have. Fight for it or you're going to lose it. And when we lose it, the culture that's coming in, dominantly, people aren't complaining about, Norwegian migrants. Heck, they're not even complaining about the Polish migrants anymore in England. You know what I mean? That type of thing. It's like, oh my God, these guys don't seem so bad after all. And at least some of their women are hot. That type of thing. So you could think about it like that. That okay, the Polish, when they came in some places in England and stuff like that. Yeah, there was they're coming in and they're taking their jobs, and they were. They were cheaper labor, right? So yeah, but they weren't coming in and conquering the civilization. They weren't coming in to bring in Sharia law. This is an issue. And again, to me, I don't want to live in a Sharia compliant. I don't know if you guys seen right now. Can't remember which news. It might have been AOL or whatever. Oh, and they used the prettiest Arab girl they can find. And don't get me wrong, there's some gorgeous Arab women out there for sure. But that's every culture has beautiful women somewhere in there, and then some fall down the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down, and other ones are supermodel quality. So they get this Arab girl, beautiful eyes, beautiful face, and they grab the napkin, wrap it around her head, and say, oh, she makes the niqab look beautiful. Again, more compliance, because they're trying to water it down. They're trying to make it, oh well, we have to learn how to tolerate. But tolerance has its limits. Tolerance has to be both ways. You can't have the Muslim imams sitting there talking about killing the infidels and non-believers in England on camera and then say they're moderate. Again, these are different. And if you're saying they're moderate, because then there's a difference in ideology, and we have to accept that there's difference in ideology. So it's only a matter of time before it clashes, right? So, but anyway. So I'm not ragging on Muslims totally today just for the sake of ragging. These are legitimate concerns people have, and because of that, and again, I think I'm fair. I'm harsh, but I'm fair. I know why these people are fleeing their countries. They're being destroyed by Zionism, U.S. foreign policy for oil, and again, Putin is in there for he's not in there for the best interest of Europe. He's in there for the best interest of what's in best interest of Russia and the oligarchs and stuff like that. So yeah, there's no good guys out there. I get that, but we can call out the bad guys when they do bad, and we got to stay on top of that. In Sweden, there lives a writer and filmmaker named Juri Lina. Hopefully, I said it right. Whose work on exposing the Zionist agenda of control the world to help their Freemason central bank system, etc., has been banned from public libraries. The Swedish authorities even went so far as to stop the premiere of the latest film they heard it was being made by Juri Lina. Although it is strictly non-political and basically about music, so you might want to take a look at some of his work on YouTube while you still can. Juri came to Sweden from Russia-occupied Estonia after repeat conflicts with the KGB. Interesting. See, this is why I love hearing from you guys, because a lot of people would never know about people like that, That's why blowing the whistle about people who know how to blow the whistle, keep doing it, For those of you hear the terms protocols of the Elders of Zion being used for the first time, the protocols are basically a roadmap of powers that be, much of which has already been realized. You can listen to the audio version. He's got, as the case with you, Reg, the oral presentation may leave some to be desired, but the content is just so much better. Yeah, some people get caught up on that too, it's not production quality. Oh, my battery's going low. And stuff like that. Never mind the man, it's the message you really want to hear. It's like, I remember there was one guy, I don't know if he's still around on YouTube or not, but Hell Wars guy. This guy cusses make the devil blush. But his information was good, so he's not for everybody, but again, it's the information I'm more after. That's why I listen to the Muslims. That's why I listen to the transgenders. That's why I listen to the conservatives, the liberals. I try to listen to everybody to see everybody's take on it, and then see what is the common consensus, that type of thing. So again, yeah, I might bite back from time to time on some of my commenters, but I don't do it out of hatred. I do it out of challenge of debate. So always feel like you can say your piece, call me whatever you want, but it doesn't mean I won't call you out on it. So anyway, there you go. Next to that, if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. If you want to make a couple of bucks for yourself, I'm going to keep posting my TSU link. It's good for people who are creative, if you do photography or maybe poetry or artworks or whatever, and you want to share them with people. It kind of works like Facebook, except for when you share, there's ads that are posted or whatever, and you get some ad revenue if you share other people's stuff. If other people share your stuff, then you get ad revenue and stuff like that. So in 1 week, I've already made over 15 cents, yeah. So, humble beginnings. You might not get rich at it, but there are people that make livings at it at some point if they really take. So, but it's invite only, so you have to use that link. You sign up under me, and then you get other people to sign up under you. It doesn't cost you anything. It was actually extremely easy, even for a guy tech-tard like me, to sign up. So, yeah, if it can help you guys out a bit too, by all means, get her done. Next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourself. Be true to others. Always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day, eh? G'day, hi, and welcome. Q&A 241. Oh my God, 241. All right, for those of you joining me for the very first time, this is me just responding to various questions and comments I get on various different videos. I never censor my comments, and I always encourage people to jump in on the conversation because it's usually pretty fantastical, and you guys narrate the conversation with your questions, whether we agree, disagree, or agree to disagree, and yeah. First off, I'm just going to make a little mention of something about that Uzbekistan lady, nanny or whatever, that cut off the baby's head in Moscow the other day, pranced around saying how much she hates democracy and Allah Akbar. Apparently they said she wasn't acting alone, so this gives it's when I say, and again, I know I have Muslim viewers and stuff like that, and I can imagine they would understand more than anybody that, yes, when I say not all Muslims are violent, sure, I mean that, but it seems like the contrast is just completely one flip to the other. And I understand why. I mean, a lot of these countries are hellholes that they come from, that all they know is violence, and I get that. But it puts us in a position where, again, how much more tolerance is people going to be? Even, I was listening to, on RT, there was I forget the name of the lady, but anyway, she's a reporter in the Netherlands, and the guy was again a Muslim guy, and he was arguing, saying, "Look, in the UK or in the Netherlands, or I forget where he was, but he was saying, yeah, I think he was in the UK, saying, look, only 0.2% of the terrorist attacks, terrorist charges in the UK are Muslim," and he's correct. He was correct. But there's a difference between being charged with terrorism for a flaming pig head going into a mosque, which, okay, is bad. I don't really condone that. And, you know, again, people getting beat up and stuff like that. Yeah, they'll classify that as terrorism. But nobody dies. Whereas that 2% that gets charged on the other side of the fence is really radical. And this is what people are starting to realize, that, you know, we keep hearing Islam as a religion of peace, and maybe it was at one point, who knows. But this is the concern that I have, and actually this is more of a take warning for Muslims than it is for, because you have to understand, people's patience on stuff like that is going to wear thin. And especially in Moscow. Now, again, Putin being, I know there's a lot of Putin champions out there, but this is what I'm talking about. This was an illegal immigrant, again, undercutting the labor. This is what happens when, again, you get what you pay for. If you go with the, well, I'm going to save a few bucks on a cheap nanny. Again, I don't know, maybe the family she was nannying for was Muslim too. I don't know, but you know, you get the idea that we're importing a lot of problems without vetting them. And the backfire from this will go exactly to what I've been saying. And trust me, when I saw Merkel get out of her motorcade yesterday, I'm like, I was waiting to hear the shot. Again, I'm not making any threats. I'm like, I've never seen a politician that heckled in my life. All these thousands of Germans out there yelling, "Merkel must go," right to her face. No politician is ever, even Donald Trump doesn't get that. You know what I mean? He gets like 3-4 people shows up at his rally. That's it. Can you imagine that? Just think of that how dry that kindling is right now. It's one little spark and bang, it's gone. So people, be mindful of the dangerous times we live in. And yes, what I was saying, between 3 and 5 years, it will be extremely dangerous for Muslims. Again, one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. Even if 99% of them are good, it's that small, really radicalized. I mean, when you're cutting babies' heads off, you know, and I get it. If we weren't in their countries, they wouldn't be in ours in the first place in that sense. So yes, I know where the blame starts. It starts with the Zionists and U.S. foreign policy on behalf of Israel and stuff like that. I mean, I call it out. And again, I'm not against every Israeli. I know not all Jews are, there's not a Jew around every corner trying to take you out, that type of thing. I know that. But radical begets radical, and we notice that a few bad apples can spoil the whole bunch. So yes, 3 to 5 years, there's only so many more terrorist attacks like this that will be tolerated. In Russia, they don't really tolerate much to begin with, at best at times. So, yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up just because it's such a big thing, you know. And, you know, when this happens in the middle of London, and it will, I mean, a month before the Lee Rigby beheading, I didn't call Lee Rigby himself because I didn't know who it was going to happen to. I said, with this many jihadists, I was watching the Muslim riots and stuff like that, and listening to what they were saying and stuff like that. I was like, okay, it's just a matter of time Getting back to that RT thing, I mean, the whole debate was, again, another Muslim imam talking about how, people should be stoned to death and hung and killed, and Sharia is good, and, all the violent stuff and death to the infidel, they should be killed, and stuff like that. There's no way to take it out of context. When saying, yeah, but you're not understanding Islam, he's just narrating what's out of the Quran. But that's even worse, because that makes the case against it again, saying that, well, if that's the way they're interpreting it, it's not a religion of peace. So again, political correctness is only going to be, it's dying a very fast death. And with that comes in the extreme tip of the spear of the ultranationalists and the neo-Nazis. They will be coming in. And I mean those in literal terms. Not, you're engaged in immigration, so you're a Nazi. No. I'm talking about people who have Nazi ideology, who identify as Nazi. They will be given such leeway, it will bounce into a civil war. But take this same scenario, what happened in Moscow, happened in the middle of London, London Street. Again, a month before Lee Rigby, I called it. What they're going to do at some point is behead a bunch of children in public in the middle of a street somewhere. They burn children. ISIS burns children alive in cages. They do it. It's propaganda. Nobody would ever do something that used just to make they do it. Even if it's staged, they do it. People will die. And the backlash from that could kick off the 10th Crusade. It could kick off the 10th Crusade. And I am predicting England, most likely in one of the areas around London, for this to kick off. I don't know when it's going to happen, but this lady is going to inspire others. Keep that in mind. All right, so anyway, Baltic Dry Index. Years ago, shipping rates were high as commodities such as copper, coal, iron were in high demand. Many players decided to bring on many ships to gain profit. This caused a glut of ship vessels and rates start falling. As China reduces its demand, many of those companies were stuck with ships and no freight to haul. The rates kept following, and there they are. Part in reduced demand, and part is glut of ships. The Baltic Dry Index is an indicator